to part 2 of Couch Potato Diary. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in today. If you're looking for the more traditional stick and ball sports, that's over on part 1, where we looked at the NHL, NBA, and the world of the Canadian Football League. Today, we are looking at boxing and the WWE as we get ready for Clash of the Castle coming up in Scotland. So today, we're looking at the Gervonta Tank Davis fight coming up this weekend, plus WWE Clash of the Castle. Let's get into it and talk some boxing. It is a big boxing fight week as one of the best fighters in the world is back at it this weekend, as it is Tank Davis stepping back into the squared circle. This is the first time he is coming back in since a fight with Ryan Garcia, which was over a year ago. That is wild to me that was over a year ago, but now he goes up against Frank Martin to defend his WBA lightweight championship. This is going to be, I think, a really, really, really interesting fight to see how Garcia comes off of the biggest win of his career. Like, yes, he has won some titles before, but that was the first time that he steps into the ring in a bout with another pound-for-pound level fighter, and he came out with a dominant performance. And so now, this is a different fight for him, for sure, against a Frank Martin who does not have a big name in this sport. And so do we see a Tank Davis who is like a tank and just runs over this cat? Or do we see a tank that's, yeah, you know what? I've spent the last year, like the fight was being dubbed as who is the face of boxing, which is insane. That's still Canelo. But that fight was being dubbed as like, who is the face of boxing? And so do you spend the next year being like, yeah, I'm the face of boxing. Here I am. Come get me. Or how dedicated were you? So I'm always interested to see when you have that huge fight that you have, and now you have what is, with all due respect to Frank Martin, who could kick the shit out of me, you have a pretty substantial step down in terms of name value and all of that. How do you handle that if you are Tank Davis? Tank has worked his way, make no question about it. Tank has worked his way into the pound-for-pound conversation with that win over Ryan Garcia, and quite frankly, with Ryan Garcia's win over Devin Haney, I think that has absolutely bolstered the case for Tank Davis with everything that he has done. It is now just a matter of what do you do to follow it up now? I don't think that there is any outcome that can get him into that pound for pound number one. Right now with Usyk, Inoue, Canelo, and I'm missing one. Oh, Terrence Crawford. You're not cracking that top four, but he is firmly, I think, fifth right now. So I think we need to see from Tank Davis a big blowaway performance here of Frank Martin and just remind everyone, like, hey, this is who I am going to be. That this is I am that dude. So I'm interested to see this. For Frank Martin, we'll do a full preview, but he's a 29-year-old American fighter. The Ghost has a professional record of 18-0, but there is not a whole lot on here. He has fought at T-Mobile Arena before. He's fought on undercards at AT&T Stadium, but this is the biggest stage that he will fight on. So I'm really interested to see how he handles that situation now. But odds are Tank Davis is going to come away with a big victory. Will it be big enough? We will find out as the week goes along, but we'll have a lot more coverage of that fight as we approach fight night. Let's move into the world of pro wrestling as they have a big show coming up this weekend. From Glasgow, Scotland, at the Hydro, it is Clash at the Castle as the WWE puts on another show overseas. Very interested by this card as we get ready for it now. Couple things I still need to see as we get ready for the build-up this week. I need Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest to get to another level. And I know this crowd is going to get them to another level, but I need this crowd, or I need this match to feel a little bit more important than it is. I need Drew to tell me, not just like speaking in a Scottish accent and saying like I need to win the title. I need an impassioned Drew McIntyre speech. It would be a borderline babyface speech, but I need that to be an impassioned speech of why this weekend is the biggest weekend of his life, and Damian Priest is trying to take that from him. And for Damian Priest, I think that this needs to be a time where he cuts a promo or gets it fired up to make me believe that you think you can go out and beat this guy. So I think that there just needs to be a little bit something extra added to this particular match this weekend, because I think this will probably be the main event, given that it's Drew. And I think that it doesn't really feel like a main event. It will when we get there. It will in Scotland because of that crowd that is going to be 100% behind Drew McIntyre. But I just feel like, for my excitement level, I need this to get to one more gear. And I'm interested to see how the Scottish wrestlers are handled on this show, because you look at the ones that are on it right now. When you have the Alba Fire Isla Dawn tag team, you have Piper Niven and you have Drew McIntyre. Drew is the only reasonable hope. The tag team is not winning. And I would be stunned if Piper Niven is the one that ends up beating Bayley. So I almost wonder if just how math works, you want Drew McIntyre to win this one. But I do like that there is a spotlight on these particular performers, because I do like the Isla Dawn Alba Fire tag team. The witch stuff was whatever, but I think there is something to that particular group. And I do think very highly of the talents of Piper Niven as well, and the relationship with Chelsea Green has certainly grown on me in the last little while. So I'm happy that there is this spotlight being placed on these performers. I would hope that more comes from it now moving forward, and this isn't just we're building up these particular performers for a month to get them on a big show in their hometown, and then we're going to completely forget about them. Use this as an opportunity to elevate these particular talents, and kind of build off of that, much like we created a star in a Sami Zayn out in Montreal, and we're able to build around that. Speaking of Sami Zayn, his feud with Chad Gable has been excellent. The build for this has been really quite good. Turning Chad Gable into basically the abusive father has been quite the look for him, but it has created a lot of passion. It is going to create the biggest babyface turn when Otis eventually does turn and go against Gable. What Otis does beyond that, I have great concerns about, but I do think that for now, this is a real opportunity to get a real big babyface reaction out of him. But this whole feud, I think, has been built up really well. I think it has created another legitimate heel in Chad Gable. I think it has elevated the babyface status of Sami Zayn. I think Tozawa was about the same, but it's elevated Maxine Dupree a little bit, and it has also the potential of really raising Otis, if only for a couple of months. So this feud has just really helped out everyone involved, and so this is what you want when you beat one of those big streaks, right? Like Gunther, he now goes off and he's going to be King of the Ring, or he is King of the Ring, and I think there's a real possibility he wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship coming up at SummerSlam. But you beat him, you spin it off into Sami Zayn. Now Sami Zayn is elevated. You do have to do something with that, though, and they have. They have, I think, kept Sami Zayn's star power feeling very strong, and now with that, you have now been able to branch it off into a Chad Gable feeling stronger, into an Otis feeling like a more sympathetic figure as well. So this has been a really good job of taking the momentum of one character and spiraling it off onto a few, and using that star power that way. Just really, really well done with that one. And I've also really enjoyed the AJ Styles Cody Rhodes feud. I thought the retirement angle on Friday, now I saw it after I knew what happened, so that was a bit of a bummer, but I thought they did a really great job with that one. Like, mwah, chef's kiss there. And then Cody, it's a perfect setup. From Aldis being, you have to go to the back of the line, AJ being like, well, I can't. Like, I'm not going to do that. And making us think that, okay, yeah, it's time for me to go. When really he's like, I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to weasel my way into a title opportunity. Excellent. Loved that. And Cody, the logical response for him is like, I'm going to make, logical in pro wrestling sense. It's be quite a thing to say to a human being on the street, but I'm going to make you say what you should have said on SmackDown, and that is, I quit. So I think this build has been really quite fun, and I think we get a very strong match coming out of it now at Clash of the Castle. And where they go from, because Cody is winning, I think rather obviously. I think Cody is winning. Where we go from here now is going to be, I think, curious, because this is the blow off to an AJ Styles thing. Like there are few places you can go beyond I quit matches. I know a lot of people are drawing straight lines to the NXT NA relationship. Do you give AJ one more run down in TNA for a little bit and go with that? Because like I think that would be a really, really cool thing to do. But SmackDown has felt a little flat for the last little bit, and AJ hasn't, and that would feel like a quite a significant subtraction from the SmackDown roster because of how good that this last little bit I think has been. And even the build up to Leon, I really enjoyed AJ as well. Like, he has been quite good. And so you do run a bit of a risk, but I think that would be kind of cool to have him do one more run in TNA, even just for a couple of months, and then have him come back. Like, they have Slammiversary, I think soonish, right? So have him go off, do that, come back in WWE for like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season, that sort of a thing. I think that would be quite fun thing to do there. What else? Oh, I kind of like the build up to the women's tag team match. I think that like no one believes that these teams are beating Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, but I do think that the build up to it has made Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler feel at least a little bit like a bigger deal, and it's been a good reintroduction to the team that we mentioned before in Dawn and Fire. So I think that has been a pretty strong one so far. Just a couple of quick thoughts on NXT Battleground. I'm not all the way through it yet, so I can't speak to the main event, but the build up to that was really good. Ethan Page and Trick Williams, apparently Trick won that match, which I found a little bit surprising, but you are building up Trick, and NXT has proven that like wins and I don't want to say wins and losses don't matter, but you can rebound from a loss in that type of a situation, and I think they will do just fine with Ethan Page. But I thought the women's ladder match was tremendous, and like I've kind of enjoyed a lot of the show that I've seen so far. The one takeaway I have, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. The one takeaway I have is Obafemi feels like a super duper star. Like, he just has it. He has that charisma. He is obviously huge and jacked and all of that stuff. But like the spot at the end where Wesley is going for Meteora and Oba just catches him, holds him for a second, like, hey, I'm gonna let you all realize how fucking badass what I'm doing is, and then power bombs him. Dude could come up to the main roster tomorrow and feel like a superstar. But I think rounding him out in NXT for a little bit is going to be very good, and building him up into a legitimate title challenger. Like, I think they have something legitimately there. Like, this guy just feels like a star. And they have a few down there right now. Like, Wesley feels like a guy who could get called up tomorrow. They can be a bit bland at times, but Gallus, I think, has a bit of main roster potential if used right. And honestly, I wonder if used right is joining up with Drew McIntyre. Like, I don't know if Joe Coffey, like he looks good when he crosses his arms and puffs his chest out, but I don't know if he has leader of main roster group written all over him. But if those three are kind of the lackeys for a Drew McIntyre, and they keep CM Punk out of the ring, or Judgment Day out of the ring at Clash of the Castle, I think you could have something there, or like redo the Brawling Brutes with Sheamus. Like, I think they have something in that group as well. So no, I've really enjoyed NXT. I haven't watched NXT every week, but I feel like it is on quite the upswing after I just fully checked out after NXT 2.0. They're pulling me back in down in NXT with the stuff that they've been doing with NXT TNA. Jordan Grace, I'm not all the way through that match yet, but she looks like $1 million. I'm not breaking news to anyone. She goes to the gym and lifts things up and puts them down. But like the way she has carried herself, the way she has performed, has felt like a star, and that has been a really good thing for I think for NXT and for TNA as well. So that's gonna do it for part 2 of this show today. Coming up on the program tomorrow, we're gonna have a recap of Monday Night Raw as we get ready for Clash at the Castle. So we're gonna look at the go home edition of Raw, plus Stanley Cup Finals, and we will have the Catlin Autocast looking at the Toronto Blue Jays. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Follow me on social media at Primetime Klein, and I'll talk to all y'all later. I am out.